I guess somebody's tired of all this GOAT talk. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar recently came out and said that there's no such thing as a GOAT as the GOAT. He said there can be more than one. Different players play under different circumstances. He said this is not Highlander. There can be more than one. So I'm very, very, very intrigued by his statements. I love what he said, but I also love the reference that he used. If you guys don't know, Highlander is a movie where you have a bunch of people who are immortal that live throughout the population. Not a bunch of people, maybe like 100 or whatever the case is. They live through centuries, and they're great swordsmen, and what they do is they kill off each other to get the power to become like the ultimate person, which is called the One. So the One is what we would attribute to today as the greatest of all time. So every person you kill, and the manner and the fashion that you kill them is you cut their head off, you get their powers. So you get their knowledge, their swordsmanship. You know, you get all of their moves and stuff like that. So you get all that. These are great movies. I love those movies. So when you kill somebody, before you kill them and cut their head off, you said there can be only one. Then you yak their head off. All fine and dandy, all cool means. So what Kareem says is basically, if you take a look at that reference, these people are immortal. They've lived centuries, fighting each other, killing off each other, and stuff like that. And they've lived through many places. The main character everybody remembers is like Duncan MacLeod or whatever the case is. The original movies had like Sean Connery, great films. Check them out if you ever have time. So Kareem is saying is there's no way for us to put players in a vacuum, which is like a Highlander situation, centuries a year is of basketball, and say, hey, you play each other, and if you beat one person, you level up, and then you go play the next person. So there's no way for, let's just say, a LeBron James and a Michael Jordan to go against each other in their prime, and for us to see who's better. There's no way for Kobe and Magic Johnson to play against each other, and for us to say, well, okay, now that's definitively the greatest Laker of all time. There's no way for Kareem to play Shaq and see who would be the better center. Or there's no way for Wilt Chamberlain to play against Shaq in his prime and we'll say, okay, this guy has power. These guys are immortal. So they each played in different circumstances, different times, and different rules, which makes sense. So technically, if you listen to Kareem's statements, he's 100% correct. There's no way for us to gauge who's the greatest of all time in basketball because there's so many criteria. There's rings, there's points, there's statistics, there is respect from your peers, there is there's like a million things. It's sort of like when you're listing who's like your favorite rapper or your favorite singer or something. Like somebody could say, well, hey, because Beyonce made so much music and her catalog is so great and dandy, she's the greatest singer of all time. But then somebody can say, well, hey, just because Whitney Houston didn't make the same catalog of music doesn't mean that Whitney Houston's any less greater. You know what I'm saying? Just because Whitney Houston can't dance doesn't mean she's not a better singer than Beyonce. So that's how the criteria go. And we can't bring Whitney Houston back and Beyonce together in a studio and say, here's a track, here's the same track, you guys make the track, and we'll decide which one is better. So you can't put stuff in a vacuum or whatever. All we can do is by the eye test and what we remember of that player. So that being said, Kareem has the point that he made is so excellent, and the reference that he uses is 100% accurate. Like, this is not Highlander. Like, we can't say, well, Jordan, go, you're immortal, you're in your prime. LeBron, you're in your prime. We're gonna put you on two different teams. You go head to head, cut each other head off, see who wins, whatever. But I disagree with him saying that there can be more than one greatest of all time. Like, to me, the greatest of all time is just the greatest of all time, and it's always been an opinion. That's the thing that people don't understand. When you say somebody's the greatest of all time, it's your opinion. Some people feel that Allen Houston's like their favorite player, the best to ever play the game. Some people feel like Eddie Jones is the best player to play the game. Like, some people might like Nick Van Exel. Some people might think Kobe's the best. Some people might think LeBron is the best. But that's just your opinion. Like, your opinion is not gonna sway facts or sway what we saw on the court. We all know who's great. I think Kobe Bryant had a great point a couple months ago. It's like whenever we say somebody's great, it's like we got to tear down other people to say that they're not as good as this person. And that's when everybody kept saying like how LeBron is better than everybody. He's even better than Kobe or whatever. Like, in my opinion, I don't believe so. But you never heard somebody that said Kobe's great and LeBron just sucks. Like, or you never heard somebody say Jordan is great and LeBron sucks. But whenever it's like a LeBron situation, his fans tear everybody else down. Like, oh, they can't rebound as good. They suck. It's just weird. It's just weird. But back to the subject at hand. The reason why we can't definitively say that anybody's the greatest of all time is, like I said before, it's subjective to whatever you want to kind of criteria. There's no set criteria. This is what makes you greatest of all time. It's just an opinion. And to solidify that statement, even Michael Jordan said himself, and this goes back to Kareem's Highlander point. They said, when people say you're the greatest of all time, how does that make you feel? He said he refuted that statement. He said, I never call myself the greatest of all time due to the simple fact that I've never been able to play against people in their prime and their eras. He said, I don't know what would have took place if I played those people. He said, I never got to play Wilt in his prime. I never got to play Kareem in his prime. I never got to play against Oscar Robertson. I never got to play against Jerry West in his prime. I never got to play against, these individuals. So there's no way I would disrespect these individuals and say I'm better than them if I never got to play against them. So the ultimate wisdom of the person that I consider the greatest of all time, and the ultimate wisdom of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player of all time. He has 6 championships, 5 MVPs, just like Mike. The ultimate wisdom of these two people let you know what he's saying is 100% factual. There's no way for us to put these players in a vacuum or in a pseudo universe, in a different universe, and say, hey, play each other now. Let's see what happens. This is all just up for debate. But it's all an opinion anyway, so there shouldn't be any angst about it or there shouldn't be any hard feelings about it, because it's going to be subject to change from every 3 to 4 years or whatever the case is. Like, for me, it's been the same since for a long time. It's MJ. Yes, it's just point blank period. Like, the stuff that he did, how he did it, how he dominated 2 3-peats, never lost in the finals. That's just my opinion. But if you ask Jordan himself, he's gonna tell you, I can't be considered the greatest of all time because I didn't play against every single player in the NBA, and that's the Highlander. That's basically the Highlander. We're gonna call that the Highlander. I like that. Anytime anybody argues with you about who's the greatest of all time, just say Highlander. Highlander. Say, is the NBA Highlander? And that'll dead the conversation. But I love Kareem's point. I felt like it was very poignant, and I felt like it was right on time, man. It was right on time, because it's like we can't even enjoy basketball without thinking who's the greatest of all time. When you're really thinking about it, nobody's even trying to be the best now. Like, nobody's really trying to gun to be the best. Like, even when you think about like hip hop, rap music, it used to be like back in like the 90s era, DMX, Jay-Z, even Diddy, Puff Daddy. These guys were late 90s. They were trying to be like the best artists in the game. Like, they were trying to sell out arenas, Rock the Mic tour, No Way Out tour, Rough Riders tour. Like, these guys was going at each other's neck, like trying to compete. Like, today, nobody really. All right, I'm not gonna say nobody, but LeBron wants to be great. Warriors want to be great as a collective, the whole team. Like, they want to win championships. But other than that, nobody's really gunning for each other. Like, I don't see anybody really going at each other's neck like that. Other than that, like, even with the emergence of the Houston Rockets, I don't see anybody really trying to take that mantle. Like, when people say LeBron James is the best player of all time, besides KD, I don't really see anybody really gunning for that. I don't see anybody trying hard to be the best. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, besides LeBron, beside that Warriors team, I think everybody in that team they had that juice. Like, look, we want to be the best. Like, we already got 3 chips. We already in that conversation of one of the best teams. We trying to be like the best players at our positions. We trying to be great. So besides LeBron and the Warriors, I don't see any other teams really fighting to be the best. Like, and that's the same thing with the players. Like, Jordan's era, guys was coming at Jordan left and right. Kobe's era, guys was coming at Kobe. Kobe stoppers and all this other stuff. LeBron's era, not so much. Guys don't really want to come at each other like that. But like Kareem said, we can't put these guys in a vacuum. They're not immortal. There's no way for us to see if LeBron James is really better than Larry Bird. There's no way for us to see if Jordan could take on Kareem. There's no way. So we just got to cut it all out, and just enjoy it as friendly debate. That's all. Hoops Junction, where hoops meets hoopla.